Hey, I'm Dr. Bob with Carolina Value Pet Care. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about dog allergies, and I have my two lovely assistants here today, Laura and Shelly. Laura's going to be asking me some questions about to kind of lead into the discussion here. So hopefully you'll be able to get some topics or get some useful information here to help improve the quality of your dog's life.
Dr. Bob, how common are allergies in dogs?
Very. Actually, generally speaking, about 1 out of 3 visits to veterinarians with dogs are for allergies. It's just that commonplace, and really throughout the U.S. and obviously in some areas more common than area. Obviously, we live in North Carolina and the Southeast, and it's an incredibly common problem for veterinarians and for pet owners in this area.
What are some common dog allergies?
There's actually 4 different types of, generally speaking, 4 different types of allergies that we see in dogs, and I'll pretty much give you the order in which we actually see them. And certainly the most common one we see are what I call seasonal allergies. And these are from seasonal pollens, spring, summer, and autumn. The second most common one would be household allergies, or what I like to call environmental allergies, primarily from house dust and dust mites. The third most common are food allergies, and again, that's a whole nother discussion on its own. And then the fourth one, and actually this is what most pet owners or most dog owners suspect when their dog is itching, are flea allergies. But to be honest with you, that's the least common allergy that we see. A big part of that because we have so many great flea products for our pets nowadays.
How do allergies impact the health and well-being of my dog?
They impact the health and well-being of your dog, and actually not only your dog's quality of life, but your own quality of life. There's nothing more frustrating than having a dog that's licking, biting, scratching, itching, chewing all the time, where you're constantly having to turn to your dog and say, stop, stop, stop. And they will, briefly, but the itch is so much. Imagine this. Imagine if you had like poison ivy, and you can't help but scratch at it, and then somebody tells you to stop doing it, and then 5 minutes later you just can't help but start scratching at it again. Imagine your dog feels sort of the same sort of sensation. So it definitely has a huge impact on the quality of life. You can imagine, like I said, if you had poison ivy, how miserable you would be. But imagine this with a dog. This can be an ongoing problem throughout the year or certain seasons of the year. So it definitely has a significant impact on the quality of their life.
What are some signs and symptoms of allergies in dogs?
Oh gosh, they're so numerous. Wow. First, we see dogs coming in. It might be something as simple as a dog just biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing. As it becomes more progressive, we see dogs that may start like literally ripping their hair out, and then they may start to develop a bacterial infection, and then they become red and raw. Yeast infections, ear infections. They start, unfortunately, some of them start getting a kind of a funky odor about them, and that's when people start really getting annoyed because their dogs start to smell because of all of these oily secretions from the allergies. Sometimes dogs will just start becoming depressed, so to speak, or just lethargic just because they're itching all the time, nonstop, 24/7. They just really can't get any rest. And so there's so many different ways that the allergies will manifest. But that'll give you a sort of an overview of some of the simple things that we see.
Can I diagnose my dog's allergies at home?
Yeah, Dr. Google, of course you can. Yes, it's pretty simple, to be honest with you. If you've got a dog that's constantly biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, the diagnosis is pretty easy. Your dog is having an allergic reaction to something in all probability. I would say conservatively about 99% of the dogs that we see that are biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, that's why. And these are the dogs that, again, seasonal allergies, environmental allergies, meaning household contaminants such as house dust, food allergies, and flea allergies. Now, fleas, they can be seen in many cases, not all the time, but that gives you kind of an overview that, yes, you can diagnose your dog, but then the next question is, how do you treat it?
How will a veterinarian diagnose allergies in my dog?
Well, quite simply, just from an examination. First we need to see the dog and just be able to get an overview of what's going on with your pet at that particular point in time. But so much of the diagnosis actually comes from your observation. And I personally ask quite a few questions in order to get some context around the itching. Is this something that's just started, or has it been going on for a while? Is it year-round, or is it just a certain time of the year? Are they getting an ear infection? What parts of the body are they itching? So these are all really important questions to get a better sense of trying to diagnose and try to get a better sense of what is the actual source of the allergy that's causing the problems.
How are dog allergies treated using anti-inflammatory therapy?
Yeah, we have about three different products that we commonly use in veterinary medicine, and each one has its own place. One that I commonly reach for in many cases is actually going to be steroids or cortisone. Now, we're limited how often we can use those, but they can be a huge help for these dogs that are intensely itchy and with a lot of irritation with it going on with the skin. One of the things I really like about the cortisone is that it's very reliable, and it's also very affordable, which makes it a good choice. But again, we are limited how often we can use it. There's two other medications that are by prescription only, and one of actually is, a lot of people are familiar with it because they've seen television commercials for a tablet called Apoquel. Doesn't work with every dog, but we get great results with the Apoquel in about 80-85% of the dogs that we started on. And the other medication is called Cytopoint. Now, I love Cytopoint. It's an injection. Unfortunately, it does require having to come see us for the injection. It's not something that you can give at home like the Apoquel pills. But the beauty is with the Cytopoint, there's virtually no side effects to it. And again, like the Apoquel, it doesn't work with every dog, but we get great results with the vast majority of the dogs that we give it to.
How is shampoo therapy used for dogs' allergies?
Yeah, I think it's important for people to recognize that shampoos are never going to cure a dog's skin problem. Now, we always have to find what the root cause of it is. What is the source? Is it seasonal allergies or environmental allergies or food allergies, or is it from fleas? And once we get a better determination, then we can start looking at what's in our toolkit to try to be able to help that dog. Shampoos, I think, are one important benefit, but I do want to make this really clear about shampoos there because there's so much mythology about the use of shampoos. Yes, you can bathe your dog as often as you want to, depending on the shampoo that you're using. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that you have a cooperative dog, because if your dog doesn't like a bath, or if it's challenging for you to get your dog into a tub or to get them to cooperate with you, then I'm really not going to promote bathing. But shampooing can be extremely beneficial. Now, what we generally find with the shampooing is it generally buys about 1 day of relief, which again, for dogs that's really in a very miserable condition, that 1 day can at least buy them some short-term relief and improve the quality of their life, at least for a day. But you can, in fact, bathe dogs 2 or 3 times a week, depending on the shampoo that you're using. And for the love of God, please don't use Dawn. No, please. I mean, that's great for your dishes, but just keep it in the kitchen. It doesn't belong in your dog, okay? Nothing magical or mythical about it. So I like an aloe and oatmeal shampoo. That's my go-to. Make sure it's a dog shampoo. But again, they can just understand that shampoos can be an extremely beneficial part of healing for your dog with allergies, but it's not a cure.
What is hyposensitization or desensitization therapy for dog allergies?
Great question. With the hyposensitization or desensitization, that's not something that we do. You would need to see a veterinary dermatologist for that. Now, there's 2 different techniques for doing it. But first, before getting into the techniques, understand when you go to a veterinary dermatologist for the desensitization or the hyposensitization, it's much like people who have allergies who have to go to an allergist. In which case, you identify what are you allergic to. And you do that through either skin testing or blood testing. And in animals, we do both skin testing and blood testing. We're looking to see what environmental conditions or seasonal allergies, pollens, dust, molds, mildews, weeds, grasses, we're looking to identify specifically what trees, what grasses, what weeds, what types of pollens or molds are actually causing the allergies in the first place. And then we create, I'm not going to call it a vaccine, but it's a medication which you would give to your dog either through injection or through oral drops. And that can be extremely beneficial. In fact, in rare cases, or uncommonly, it can actually be curative if you start at a relatively young age. It does come with an expense, of course, and it does not work for every dog. In general, when we do the desensitization, we get about 1 out of 3 dogs do extremely well with it. About 1 out of 3 dogs do pretty good with it, and about 1 out of 3 dogs just don't respond that well at all to the desensitization process. But the beauty is that other than the expense, it does have great benefit. We don't have to go with like steroids or medications that can have side effects to them. And the nice thing is too, we can, in unusual circumstances, we actually can get a cure if we start early enough. So thank you for taking the time to sit in on these questions about dogs and allergies. If you have more questions, please reach out to us. Go to our website, carolinavaluepetcare.com, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks.